most people that I don't know why I'm this way. It really changed who you want to be.
Mhm.
How do you want to represent yourself? I think what makes the best stories are
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have Ronnie on. I'm really excited. So, Ronnie, for those people who don't know who I am, they don't know who you are, why should they stick around and watch the podcast today?
I feel like it's very just, I know authentic gets thrown around a lot, but I feel like we're just going to have a very authentic conversation. And it's just kind of like standing around the water cooler back in the day, just learning from each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, Ronnie, how did your journey start in marketing?
Sure. So when I studied public relations and business when I was in school, and so I grew up in a very small town. The closest city that I always loved was Nashville,
Mhm.
and so I just decided I'm going to move to Nashville. Didn't know a single soul, but knew that I wanted to work in PR. Love music. Found my way into working in the music industry for a bit. From there, I've done a lot of things. I've been a teacher. I went to law school, and law really wasn't for me. It was just like an academic goal of mine,
Yeah,
and so found my way back into recruiting, whether that be through a media marketing agency. And right now, I'm in the process of branching out on my own. So keeping that a bit under wraps at the moment.
the raps on the down low.
Yeah, always. I like to be super prepared with everything.
Nice, nice. In the music industry, what kind of music?
So it was,
Nashville.
Nashville, people always think country music, but
Yeah.
there's actually more than just country music. So a little bit of country. It is a really big capital for Christian music, Christian gospel. So a little bit of that and a little bit of rock and roll.
Nice. Nice, man. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
on your Instagram you're always posting songs. You put songs along
Uh,
with your posts. I like it.
yeah, I love music. The
Yeah,
music to me is the universal language. I've never met anyone in my life that does not love music.
that'd be pretty crazy. Like, you
It
listen to
would
music, man?
actually.
Like, nah, I don't like music.
Maybe I'll just like try that out one day, see how people react to
Yeah, right?
it.
Just mess with people.
I don't believe in music.
So, on your Instagram, in your bio there, it says something about storytelling. What makes a good story, in your opinion?
I think good stories. So this is my love for stories. Quite honestly, came from watching Disney movies as a kid. And I can't seem like a huge Disney fan at this age, but seeing it, different stories, and they always have some sort of theme to them. There's always a beginning, middle, end
Mhm.
with anything, and are stories that you can relate to. But that's with that being said, and a good story that you can relate with has to come from a very real place.
Mhm.
So you can't, great actors are brilliant at performing, getting into character, but the person that creates that character, I've always had some real life experience in mind. And so I translate that easily into marketing because whether you're a single business owner, if you're a small bank, if you're a huge corporation, you have to treat it as if it's a character. And the best place to start is what story do you want to tell? What story do you want to tell and why?
Awesome. Agree with that for sure. The transformation process in marketing and meeting the customer where they're at, relating to them,
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting about marketing is there actually really is a whole lot of people interaction that goes behind it. Like I feel like if you're doing a really good job of getting to know the brand, the person, the owner, whomever it is, it really just takes conversations. Let's get to know each other. What do
Yeah,
you like? What do you dislike? Because the more open people are and the trust you build, the more risks they're willing to take, because
hmm,
that's the other thing. Marketing is kind of like playing doctor sometimes when it's like, you're kind of you're hurting over here. Let's see how we can fix it.
exactly. Yeah, I've heard that before. Doctor with marketing, like coming at it from a doctor frame, trying to diagnose the problem instead of just trying to sell someone to someone.
Right. And exactly. And I love the concept of stories because generally everyone can relate to a story. Everyone's heard a story at some point in
Mhm.
their life. Because it's people that hire marketers, they'll admit they're not marketers. Like it's kind of foreign to them. So language, vocabulary that we use every day, it's like you have to remind yourself of that. So I always just like, well, let's start with something you know, a story.
Nice. Is there any, you said Disney was very impactful in your life going into marketing and your love for stories. Is there any books you read that have greatly impacted your life?
Hmm. Impacted in what sort of way?
Inspired, inspired change, gave you new insights or new beliefs or new direction?
Sure. One of my favorite books, and I like it from the style that it's written. It's called The Book Thief.
Hmm.
They turned it into a movie. I never watched it because I loved the book so much. But what really caught me right at the very beginning is I don't want to give too much away, but it's set in World War II. It's following a girl who was going through that era, the Holocaust, things like that. Everything's happening around her. But the narrator of the story is death. And I just found that so interesting. Like it just like I never thought of death as a character before.
Yeah.
And what I really take away from that is everything has a perspective to it. Everyone has their own perspective. And something that is so familiar, if you study history, you can read the facts about World War II, but to switch the character and suddenly tell it through their eyes, I just was baffled by it. And I think it works in the marketing world too. You know, every customer is different. What
Hmm.
works one year may not work the next year, depending on what kind of business you're in.
Hmm. What what do you see as the some of the biggest opportunities right now in marketing? Biggest places that people can take advantage of?
Well, it's here and it's never going away, but social media, definitely. And social media, I always like to because people kind of roll their eyes sometimes. I don't like social media.
Mhm.
That's it. It's silly. And it's like, well, but the concept of social media has always been around you. You just didn't really notice it. And I think that it's a tool that a lot of businesses have come to realize that you have to have it. You have to have a presence on social media. If you don't like, so I have a client that they do not like social media, but they know they need it.
Yeah.
So they're able to just here run with it.
Yeah.
But I think I was reading a marketing report actually this morning, and the word is being thrown around so much. So I hope it doesn't lose the value to it, but just being authentic,
Mhm.
which goes back to that basic marketing principle that people buy from people. They want to get to know you. And social media is such an amazing way to get to know a brand. Who do you want to be?
Mhm.
How do you want to represent yourself? And it can be, I think it's exciting because along with it, a big opportunity is creativity, and you always have to think of the point of difference. Like, what makes you different than the person beside you, than the product beside you? And just the creative ways that you can do that, keeping in mind that today we're so saturated with ads and pictures and reels and just it's everywhere. So how do you find a way to stand out?
Yeah. The authenticity helps you cut through all the clutter because
Always.
so many ads are out there every day. People are bombarded,
Hmm.
information overload.
What about you? What do you think?
Could you, what's the specific question?
Oh, the same question back at you. Like, where do you think the biggest opportunities are?
Biggest opportunities? LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn a lot.
Hmm.
I'll ask AI the best ways to use it and to give me lists. Like I don't really use Chat GPT for writing purposes, but I'll use it for to learn new skills, what's available, opportunities that are available. Um, Also, in this day and age with social media and emails, I've found actual physical mail is very effective if you're
Really
business to business.
interesting.
Yep, because think about your mailbox on the average day. Like you'll get a couple of promotions from a couple companies, maybe a letter from grandma. If you have a if you have a an envelope with a handwritten address on it, the person's likely going to open it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know?
somewhere along the way, I just lost the value of physical mail, I
Hmm.
guess, because now I'm like, what bill do I have to pay now?
You try to avoid
Or
it.
the but no, that is very interesting. And I think what you're hinting to is it's got that extra personal touch, like
Mhm.
thought went into it. You had to sit and think, putting the pen to paper, and it's more meaningful. I would
Exactly.
like I would even go as far as like if you like I love writing follow-up thank you notes, typical to do after a job interview or something like that. But even just the my mom was a very big send a card for random reasons kind
Yeah.
of gal. And it's fostering that relationship that you have with your clients, and even clients that may leave you or say not now, but not now is usually in the future if you stay on top
Exactly.
of mind.
Yep. Yeah, and then it builds that good reputation, that good rapport for anything coming in
Right?
the future. Yeah.
I really like that actually, because who I know I get excited if I ever see like something addressed to me that
Yeah.
doesn't look like coupons for the grocery store.
Yeah, right? Makes you feel special.
Right?
Have you heard of Zig Ziglar or Zig Ziglar?
I have.
You have
I see a lot of his quotes floating
one of his
around.
quotes? Yeah. This this book I have right here, he talks a lot about being personal with the customers and building
Hmm.
career building sales, not just sales to sell to the person.
Hmm.
That's a very have you read any of his books?
I have not, but no joke. I saw it pop up on your feed and I
Did you?
screenshotted it to save.
Nice, nice.
So we'll have to check back in.
Yeah, we'll check back in. Awesome, man. So you said you're keeping your next project on the down low, but is there anything you're looking forward to that you'd be willing to share publicly in the future here?
Um, So well, I have a new client that, and I can't disclose who they are at the moment, but I'm very excited about the type of work they do. I really like working with people, whether you're like a solo entrepreneur or a business, but that you're there for a purpose. You're
Mhm.
giving back to the greater good of the world in some way or another. And this particular organization is they are helping the youth of today, people that don't have access to really quality education. They're teaching them financial skills. So how to budget, how to manage your money. They're open. They give the students the opportunity to create their own online business, and I just think that's so important because watching these kids create their pitches and things like that. Because in today's world, everyone wants to be online, at least in that generation, and
Mhm.
so by tying something that it's just necessary, you need to know how to communicate. And I really like that piece to it is it's so easy now to just text, send an emoji, but people are quickly losing the art of actually sitting down and having a conversation. So
Sure.
super excited about that. And
Awesome.
I won't give the name away, but working on a podcast as well that I think will
Okay.
be super, super fun.
Awesome. What made you want to start a podcast?
You know, I've always loved, I'm gonna go date myself, I guess, but I liked listening to the radio. Like
Yeah.
growing up, like I really early memories of falling asleep in the back seat of the car as a kid, listening to my dad. He would always play Cardinals games.
Hmm.
And as much as I've heard him, I don't know how I still don't really grasp baseball, but there's like a certain level of comfort to it. And then growing up, and I probably from middle school to high school, I religiously listened to the same morning show on the way to school, getting ready. And I just loved hearing different people's perspectives and hearing their stories. And I realize now that podcasts are very similar. It's like the new form of radio, and
Hmm.
there's a niche, a topic for anything.
Yeah.
And what I really enjoy about it, I think when COVID was here, it really changed people's mentality on uh, just self-actualization, exploring new things.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, maybe I'll be a potter today. I'm going to start doing pottery.
Yeah.
But it's just so exciting that you can think of something and find someone out there that's talking about it. And the important thing is, during COVID and lockdown, people, if you weren't fortunate to be like in a family or something, there's a lot of loneliness going on. And I think that impactful podcasts that really inspire, it's like you just never know who you're helping. You
Hmm.
might be the one positive thing someone's hearing that day, or they may look for. I have a podcast that I look forward to the new episode every
Yeah.
time. I have a different one that I just love. Like it makes me feel good, you know? So
Nice.
it's just an ability to reach people with a good message.
Yeah. Yeah. We live in such a great time, man. Like
Hmm.
50 years ago, 100 years ago, you won't be able to connect with people in your specific niche as easily. Now it's
Oh,
amazing.
definitely
Yeah.
not. Are you a Bridgerton fan?
Was that
Are you a Bridgerton fan?
Bridget? No, no, no.
No, I got roped into it, and now
You
I'm like very fanatical about it.
are you?
But it centers around like this gal that you don't really find out. I'm not going to give anything away. An anonymous person is writing this gossip letter
Mhm.
that comes out, and the whole society like cannot wait for it. And I was thinking about it as I was watching. I was like, wow, that really used to be the thing back in the day. Like there wasn't instant news. Like
Mhm.
you would only hear who you're around, I suppose. And so
Yeah.
when
Right.
big events would happen, there was a delayed effect. And I
Yeah.
find that just really, really fascinating to think about,
Yeah.
which I also think is such a twist on good marketing too, because we're so instantaneous. You want to buy it now, you want to watch the video now.
Hmm.
But the ones that stagger and create a building effect, like you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and the momentum's rising, and along the way, you're giving little Easter eggs and messages that when it's here, people are so excited.
Yeah. Building it up for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you know who Luke Belmar is?
I do not.
So he recently launched Capital Club, and he did that exact thing. He got people on a waiting list, posting a bunch of content, join the waiting list for months. That's all it was. From there, then he would send out little videos, little teasers, Easter eggs, more and more and more. And then by the time he finally launched it, he was able to be really successful with it.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Because at that point, people unknowingly are already invested in you.
Yeah. It's not like they're sitting around thinking about it all the time, but when your stuff pops up, they're like, "Oh, what's that?"
Right. It becomes familiar, you
Yeah.
know?
Have you ever run a campaign, or what has been your most successful marketing campaign, would you say?
Hmm. I would say I had the opportunity to work with an individual that created um, an appliance. And it was very interesting to see everything from the ground up, as in, this is what I've created. And you're working with something that is very special to someone. It reminds me of like working with musicians. That is their art, that's their little baby. And just being able to see the different aspects of one, like there's the educational piece. People are like, what is this for? And then just really honing in and who's the audience you test it for a while, who's gravitating towards it, figuring out price points. And the person that owns the product was very good about just, open to ideas,
Hmm.
which I think is really valuable as a business owner. I'm sure you've worked with some that they're just very set in their ways. And
Oh,
it's like sometimes even just the smallest little pivot could be mind blowing. It could be your best year.
yeah,
So I would say that I found personally rewarding. But just the breadth of having to create something, you know,
yeah.
as opposed to when I was in PR in Nashville, one of the clients was Cracker Barrel. Everybody knows Cracker Barrel.
Uh-huh.
There's not a whole lot of pivoting that needs to be done
Yeah,
there.
they're set in
And I
their
do love Cracker Barrel. So.
ways. To go
What
back,
about you?
me, I recently had to help a woman launch her book, and she'd come out with children's books in the past, but this new book, it was more, she thought it was for old ladies, but we figured out pretty shortly that it was for teenage girls. And just going with her through the process of testing different things and narrowing it down and seeing her excitement grow and grow. It was awesome, just helping her book get to the people who want to read
Mhm.
it. It's very rewarding. I love marketing.
Did you find was there a moment in that conversation of perhaps she did write it for an older demographic to be like, look, actually, it's not that demographic.
That
Like,
demographic. It,
did you find that challenging at all? Or was like, I could see how someone could be curiously excited, or like that wasn't the point.
yeah, at first she was very dismissive that that was not the target market. She was like,
Mhm.
"No, this is for like me and my book club ladies." And then slowly but surely, yeah, she moved over.
That's
Um,
really interesting. Yeah, I love stories like that though.
to go back to earlier when we were talking about the authenticity in your brand, let's say someone's watching right now and they own a marketing agency. On their socials and everything, should they be posted as this is my name and I'm a marketer, or should it be this is my company and these are our services? Because I've seen profiles that are both ways, and I don't know if you've noticed anything that performs better or your take on that.
I would almost say that I don't know that one performs better than the other
Mhm.
because there's two sides to it. I would say that by just marketing yourself, like Ronnie, marketer,
Yeah.
you're the way you would curate your feed is really getting to know you. I
Mhm.
trust you. I like your content. I like your vibe, your style. Like I relate to you.
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, there's times when, like, if you have a very reputable name, people feel safe in that.
Mhm.
So there's already a built-up sense of trust. On the negative end of that, like if you're a company that, and it happens, you made some missteps, maybe your reputation isn't so great at the moment. Pivoting for people still in that company, still there, but marketing themselves, I think is such a brilliant move
Yeah.
because it's like, I'm not just the company. You're getting to know me.
Yeah.
And, it just, humans, even the most introverted people still love being connected to people in some way or another.
Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. I got one second. There we go. Hmm. Okay. So Ronnie, how long, for those of you who don't know, Ronnie has over 3,000 Instagram followers. How long did it take you to create a following like that?
Hmm. I'm like, do I give away my age? I was around for Instagram near its beginning.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm one of those people that I don't know why I'm this way. I don't jump on something trendy right away. I guess I'm just very skeptical
yeah,
about most things in life. But I sat and watched it for a while, and I'm like, at the time, I felt like the majority of people. My sister is an artist, so she loved the pictures and photography and I'm just like I'm good with Facebook, like just keep me safely here. But then I jumped and I actually really do love the visual piece to it. And it's I have such an ideal client at the moment. It was the one I was speaking to that doesn't know much about social media and know they need it. And they're just very willing to learn, and to learn how it's functioning. And I think what I tell them and what anyone should remember is don't get too caught up in, I need all of these followers and I need to be viral. And when you actually read from people that have gone viral, it goes one of two ways. You're either smart enough to run with it, or it's just like, yeah, that happened, you know? And so I think you should authentically build your page, and it really honestly too just depends on what you want it for. If you're there just for entertainment to learn how to repot plants, go for it. Like I always think that I hope there's not a day when the majority of people view social media as just stressful, because at the end of the day, like it's a tool just like anything else.
hmm,
Use it for the bad or the good, but it was a process, yeah.
yeah,
And just being present, think of it like showing up to a networking event, or
hmm.
if you go to a party and you don't know anybody, do you just go in and look around and say, hey, I'm Spencer, bye? No, like you have to invest in people too, if it's anyone on that's doing any sort of creation, whether it's their photography, their recipes, knitting their scarves, whatever it is, they've put time into it. And if you always keep running across someone and you really like it, it's okay just to chime in and be like, hey, that looks really awesome. Ask
Yeah.
a question. Where did this idea come from? And, it's a lot of building relationships. I know that other generations may see it as, well, these are just like fake friends. But I've walked away with some pretty amazing friends that we've never met physically. Like it's either a text or maybe I talk to them on the phone, but it's just such a great connector of people.
When 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 Instagram was just starting compared to now, what's the biggest changes that you've seen in the platform?
Mm. I still love Instagram, so
Mhm.
I'm not meaning it in a negative way,
Yeah.
but I find that at its inception, it's like anything new. People are excited. They're using it. They're being themselves. There's the translation of Facebook, back in the day was really just about connecting with your friends and
Yeah.
things like that. And that translated over to Instagram. Today, there's so much, and algorithms are there. They always will be. But there's so many, buy this course, let me be your life coach, this and that it's saddening to me in a sense,
Hmm.
because I see how a lot of people can be taken advantage of, or if nothing else, it really can hurt just your mental health, your self-esteem.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I'm such a proponent of education because, like anything, social media, you have to research where this is coming from.
Hmm.
Just because your favorite follower says this is not 100% true. We're not all Google doctors.
For sure. For sure. All right, Ronnie, he says we've got about 10 minutes left here. What's one last final message you want to share with the people?
I would say just be persistent, be persistent, and keep in mind that marketing it can be exciting. It can be, to think of it like an adventure. where it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. If you're not making a mistake, then you're probably not growing. And just be open to new ideas. The world of social media is dominating marketing at the moment, and it's I'm sure you see it too. There's always something new, something different, and just be excited about that. Just always be an eternal learner, and be kind to yourself. It's you'll have days when everyone likes your content. You'll have days when nobody likes it, but it doesn't mean they didn't see it. And being kind to yourself, as in it's okay to step away and take a break for a minute. In America, we're so about hustle culture that
Mhm.
it's like, it is okay to take time and breathe
Yep.
and just stick with it. It's the tortoise versus the hare, that mentality.
Yep. Awesome, Ronnie. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm
Talking
happy
to
to
you.
be here. It's
Yeah.
great chatting with you.
I hope everyone at home got some valuable information out of this. I'll be dropping Ronnie's information down below if you're interested in checking him out. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thank you.